Let's get it. This is suicide.
Well, that's kind of our thing.
I'm a superhero!
Welcome to my channel. I'm Frankie and this is Let's Get Real, where today I'm talking about the Suicide Squad. Amanda Waller sends her team of supervillains from Belle Reve Prison Task Force X to the remote island of Corto Maltese on a search and destroy mission to stop the mysterious Project Starfish. If you watched my death prediction video for this movie, you would know that it's one of my most anticipated films of the year due to it being directed by James Gunn. Happy birthday to him, by the way, and I always love the crazy villains from DC Comics. When it comes to my thoughts on this movie, this is one of the rare follow-ups that surpasses its predecessor by a long shot. You could tell James Gunn was given all the creative freedom he wanted for this movie, because unlike the first movie or most of the other films in the DC Extended Universe, it was clear when watching that there was no executive interference of any kind, which has been destroying the movies in this franchise. This movie contains everything great about James Gunn's comic book movies. It's more violent than you would think, it's shocking, it's bigger and bolder than most superhero movies, it's pure insanity, the soundtrack is great, the makeup and costume design is awesome, it brings a crazy comic into a live action form, it's got amazing visuals and cinematography, it's not afraid to get dark when it needs to, it's not afraid to be heartfelt and give the characters some time to shine outside of all the action going on. But it was that shock factor that stood out to me the most. I was someone who analyzed anything and everything I could for this movie to predict who would die, and even I was floored by some scenes. This movie is so unpredictable, and there are twists that come when you least expect it, or think you might know where the movie is going. My jaw was on the floor at some scenes. Most of those moments came from the death scenes, which were well handled. They were the kind of death scenes from a Deadpool movie where they could be surprising, gory, funny, or even emotional. The threat that any character could die also helps raise the stakes higher than most superhero movies today. This movie is also hilarious as it incorporates so many kinds of humor into the film, but as I mentioned, this movie is also not afraid to be dark or emotional at the right times. And it's those themes that play into how the characters are developed throughout the story. This was more of a character-driven movie in the same veins of Guardians, and everyone is so lovable in their own ways. This is one of those movies where everyone is going to leave the theater with at least one character that left an impact on them in some way. Personally, the standouts to me were Kingshark, Bloodsport, Ratcatcher 2, and Harley Quinn is always fun to watch. The acting is also insanely good. Every actor and actress was the definition of perfect casting. Margot Robbie is perfect as Harley Quinn, and she got to let out her true insane side in this movie, which was just so great to see. Idris Elba was amazing as Bloodsport. Sylvester Stallone was hysterical as Kingshark. David Dasmalchian was so lovable as Polka-dot-man. Joel Kinnaman and Viola Davis were fantastic as Rick Flag and Amanda Waller. Daniela Melchior was so compelling and sweet as Ratcatcher.
And so on and so forth.
Of the cast, I think John Cena as Peacemaker was the weakest performance, but even at that, he still brought out the personality of this big, strong, desire for peace-consumed maniac. It's one of the stronger performances of his acting career, if you ask me. The only flaw I could think of is that the pacing can be weird sometimes, but that's really it. I saw a review online before watching this movie that said the Suicide Squad is James Gunn's magnum opus. I can't put it any other way. The Suicide Squad is easily one of the year's best films, and is pure James Gunn at the finest he's ever been. This movie is insane and shocking in the best way possible, and I loved every second of it. Really, there's so much more I want to say about this movie, so I'm probably going to do a spoiler discussion later on. It doesn't matter if you're a fan of the original movie, someone who hated the original movie, a fan of James Gunn, someone who likes superhero movies, a Marvel fan, or a DC fan. Just go see this movie as soon as possible, although this is a strong R. See it on the biggest screen possible. Don't even consider streaming. Seeing this on the big screen, especially in IMAX or Dolby, is a true experience that cannot be replicated on your couch. I'm giving the Suicide Squad a 9 out of 10. James Gunn, please don't stop making superhero movies. Thanks again for watching, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more reviews.